The last, right, they've even got this service now where you can get help writing your petition, right? The last person I'd want help with writing a petition would be from someone from the Labour Party or Conservatives, right? Particularly when we're opposing them, right? You would never get your opponent to give you an idea of helping with a petition. Who's the website? I mean, is this advice from a clerk or what? Right? I mean, even if you got a lawyer, I mean, I know that people got help with writing their legal arguments, like through history, people have had help, but usually someone on the group who's on their side, right? You know, who said, right, if it's meant to be Parliament, right, they're meant to be impartial, right, but they're definitely not being impartial because the rules aren't impartial. I mean, they're not even publishing things that you can clearly be allowed to put, right? Now here, so show some examples, right? Introduce Black history to the primary curriculum, right? That's funny because I've just put a petition asking for 3 books to be read. One was by Edward Kirk, who served as the Speaker of Parliament, right? Erskine May, who the government themselves published that book, and then John Hatzell, who was meant to be renowned Staff of Parliament, right? This whole Black history thing, look, they're trying to make out that the history of England's bad, right? Clearly, this is, right, introduce Black history to primary curriculum. I mean, I don't actually think that, you know, are any examples biased? Look, right, when you are for or against something, right, when you are like army prescription, they've published a petition, right, for supporting to prescribe people for the army, right, to conscribe people for the army, right. Where's the petition to oppose it? I've submitted one. I don't see it being published yet. And how many days is it running when they've got one for it or against it? If you allow a petition for something, you've got to allow it against it, and vice versa, right? You can't really have any examples here. If any one of these examples is for or against something, right? Is for or against something, right? Then, you know, I mean, why would they write or suggest a example? Anyway, if you want to see what sort of petitions that you can put, just look on the live list of live petitions. The actual list of live petitions has got enough examples on there anyway. Surely, when it says show examples, it should go with a link to the list of ones that they've published that are live, right? Lower the voting age to 16. Look, Starmer wants to lower the voting age to 16, right? Keir Starmer wants to lower the voting age to 16. He's got this in his example thing. He's like, he's promoting his own petition in these adverts. You know, look, I have had enough of these MPs now because I know what their game is. I know what their game is, right, in how they've even set up the petitions committee, right? They're not being impartial. When you're in a committee, right, and when you're running a public service, you're meant to be impartial. They're not impartial. In fact, over the decades, they've completely hijacked government. They've taken over it. They've pretty much kicked us out. The Labour and Tories have dominated it. They're breaking all the rules for elections on social media, right? They're censoring our petitions and set us up with a dud service, right? And the way to get an emergency debate is actually quite simple in the main chamber if there's enough people from different constituencies, right? You only need 40 MPs to stand up. And actually 40 people can get their MPs to stand up, right? No matter how innocent these people come across, right? Our government's been hijacked by main political parties and big corporate interests, and we are being they're running circles around us. I don't think we're going to win, to be honest. Now they've brought in the computers, the AI, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's got his bunker under the earth, you know, Google, all these things, right? And what they're doing with China now on social media, you know, you can't even send someone a message if it's got to be approved. You in China, right? I don't even think that you'll be able to send a letter in the post and it'd be allowed, right? It's got to be checked, right? So it's crazy. Why is Starmer promoting his voting age thing on here? Russia problem on US ruling. Why is that a bad example? Justice for David Thomas. Good petitions say clearly what they want government and parliament to do. Well, yeah, look, no, good. That is not the case. Government should know what to do, right? In fact, government don't have to do any one thing. They can offer anyone with initiative or intuition can come up with suggestions, right? What Parliament are doing are they are the ones who aren't up to standards. They are the ones who aren't clear. They are meant to be the intelligent ones who can understand something, right? And who can use initiative and intuition and creativity to come up with a solution, right? You yourself, right, only have to have a grievance, right? It's petitions of grievances. You've got a grievance, right? As long as they can understand the grievance, you've got one. Now, what they've done is they wanted to modernise the petitions, and it doesn't have an actual official prayer in it anymore, right? Now, the prayer is asking for something. That's what the petition part is, the prayer. They don't want it to be a prayer because they're anti-religious and they don't want us to pray, right? They don't want us to pray because they're trying to erase and get rid of Christianity and pretty much all religions, and they don't want them to be any prayers in them anymore, right? So that's the prayer part is what it's asking you what to do, right? Now, they're taking the prayer away, but then they're complaining that, oh, if it's not clear what you want to do, then we're not going to do anything, right? There isn't good petitions and bad petitions. Well, look, they're saying that the standards are acceptable or unacceptable. What are terms? Good or bad, right? Or acceptable or unacceptable? Because according to the rules, right, they can actually just not even have to apply the rules. And it can go by tradition. And what is tradition? Well, here it's got bad tradition. Oh, tradition is bad, right? English history and tradition is bad, right? Help writing. Use this section to back up why you want action. Oh, yeah, use it to back up in how many words? There's hardly enough words there, right, to back up the action. Remember that people won't always know that much about what you're talking about. Look, that's why the petitions committee are meant to call for papers or evidence, because they don't even know, right? And then they're told not to contact you, right? So how are they going to find out if you're the one who knows, right? And they're limiting what you can write. Basically, they're trying to make out that most people aren't that intelligent. That's why you want to make a strong point and put more writing. Well, they're restricting it so you can't. And then whenever you put a link, they always say, oh, like, this is not tenable or whatever, right? Where's the help? Optional, background information, evidence. You know, this is scandalous.